Most expert positioning sounds smart and converts nothing. The best credentials, a calm tone, a long bio, and the inbox still stays quiet. After 9 years on editorial committees and a decade building a 180,000 person audience, here's my take on what actually makes money. The fix is a 4-step authority sequence that most experts run in the wrong order. Today, I'll show you the right one. The interesting thing about a brand is that it attaches to a problem before it attaches to a person. Your expertise alone doesn't tell people to hire you. An expert that's only vague in public maybe sounds impressive, but people probably won't remember them when they're encountering a problem. I recently had a coaching session in my authority lab online, and one of my mentees came and asked me this. They were working in a strong technical domain, AI for engineering simulation workflows, and they had a positioning draft. I've worked with them on writing that, and that first positioning draft named the audience and it named the topic. But it had several problems at once. For example, understanding AI, implementing AI, improving simulation workflow, building teams, and fixing slow design cycles. That's quite a lot. All of this made the offer harder to remember, moved the conversation to understand a specific pain. So what is the specific pain that you have in there that is likely going to be the most painful thing for the client to fix? And we settled on these design cycles because they can take 3 to 4 years, and clients wanted to reduce them to 6 months, right? So the brand essentially becomes much easier to understand when you fixate on the one specific problem that you're trying to address. Slow design cycles, in this case, became the enemy. And there was a very clear enemy because correct AI use is then the path to fighting that enemy. And the market could now easily understand, and you might easily understand if you're looking at this, what the value is without having a whole lecture about the whole field, about engineering simulation cycles and the things that you might not know about. So the important thing here is you want to write one sentence that starts with, I help, and then you want to help a specific audience fix a specific problem using a specific method, ideally without some friction that's in the way, without that enemy. So you want to cut any extra topics and you want to make that pain feel unmistakable to the person. A good post creates enough friction for people to take a side. Ideally, you want people to trust you right away, but that's not usually how it happens when you're completely unknown to a cold audience. So what you first need to do is you need to raise attention. And this is hard because often you like this safe, fully qualified expert writing, but that often leads you nowhere because it doesn't raise the attention, because people have no reason to save it, to reply, or to react to it, or even to follow you on social media. So one of the things that I do, as you know, is I'm using LinkedIn as a testing ground for that. So if you're an academic, the hard part is really bringing that punch at the beginning. Researchers usually hedge because that's what we used to. That's something we learned when we were working with different reviewers, right? But a post like, in this case, AI does not make simulation workflows faster. Ooh, now this is a contrarian standpoint that people think AI makes everything faster, but now I'm saying it doesn't make things faster. And then this creates friction right away. And so one of the things that you can do there is you can then create an explainer for the conditions where AI really helps us understand how this works and where AI can help. The workflow will not waste engineering time. So the point here is you don't want to be reckless, of course. You want to name your belief that the audience already maybe debates in private, not in public, and then give them a better way to think by bringing that belief out into public. So you want to take one common belief in your field and you want to see whether or not you have a contrarian take on that common belief. And then you want to write this opposite to that common belief as a draft hook. Then maybe add 3 bullet points that make the claim useful, make it specific, make it fair, and you got yourself something that will draw attention to you as an expert. Quick check-in here. I should always point you to some extra value. Everything I just said about taking a side won't work if you're fuzzy on positioning. I built a 2-minute quiz that shows how clearly you name the expensive problem that you fix. The link is in the description, and on we go. If you're just thinking about building trust on a social platform, it's not going to be enough because you're going to be bound to the rules of that social platform. You want to have a platform that you own, like a newsletter or a way that you can make your videos available, a course, maybe a community where you can really deepen that relationship with the viewer. The viewer also needs that because when they're on the surface level, when they're just getting to know you, they're just building a relationship. So, people may enjoy a post and forget who you are 20 minutes down the line. So giving them something deeper to interact with and to engage with gives them a repeated contact with you and with your thinking. And that also means that they understand the way that you see problems. So in our session, we focused on this whole attention to trust pipeline. A social post is usually the first exposure that you have. It's like 30 seconds with you. It's the initial bit of attention that you get. But a newsletter gives you about 1,000 words, which is a much deeper commitment. It's a couple of minutes that you're now reading those words and you're creating a more complete argument and a reason to keep this person in the inbox. The inbox is something very private where you want to be. So for my own newsletter, this is something that takes me 4 to 5 hours to write. It's usually something that I put a lot of effort into, even when you're using AI, and I do use AI for that. You have scripts for everything because you do editing passes and you really want to make this work. And this is nice because you want to create something every week that is slow enough for people to engage with and people don't forget about you. If you do it every other week, if you do it every 3 weeks, every month, it's a way to start. But my experience is people forget you pretty quickly. So unless you show up every week, you're not really fostering that relationship with people. And that's really what you want. You want to turn one strong post, one strong initial impression that people have into a short newsletter that you can outline after that. So you can find a pain if you're posting about these pain points in public and maybe a client example, or maybe you have a mistake that you've seen in public and you want to present a better method. And then you can really explain that method in about 1,000 words. So you get a way to teach people in this long form interaction, just like I'm trying to teach you here on YouTube. Another thing that you want to have is testimonials or case studies because they convert the private value that your clients will give you into public proof. Your viewer needs that proof. And the thing is that a lot of the times the new clients that you have and the people that you engage with, they need that proof because a lot of people can just use AI to make up expertise claims, but the market only trusts evidence. So you really want to have that evidence from other people that make that trust relationship with your audience much faster because they trust your self-description in a way, but they trust it even more if somebody else talks about you and somebody else says they've received a result that has really helped them. So this is interesting because you're going to go from creating content to raise attention into creating sort of a sales approach. I'm sorry to use that word, but a lot of the times this stuff boils down to marketing or sales, where you're creating this customer-client relationship. The interesting thing is a customer is somebody that invests once. And it's important to get customers because you want to have that initial investment. Even if somebody just invests $1, now they're a customer, they're more open to becoming a client. So we have that distinction between a customer and then potentially turning into a client. A client is a person that invests with you recurringly, maybe somebody that ends up on a retainer with you and ends up doing coaching with you. And the interesting thing is you really just need about 10, I would say, super clients, people that are investing a lot of money with you, people that are willing to spend $10,000 a year on you to really try and grow their impact. And that's all you need to already create a successful business. That's already a great start for a simple, successful business. So really, when we're creating this attention, it cannot just stand alone just for the attention's sake, but it actually needs to go deeper. We need to understand that if we're building a solo business and we're just used to kind of talking about our expertise, we also need to create these clients that are willing to engage with us over time. And if you're struggling with that, maybe it is just a way of communicating your expertise more clearly, or it could be that you need to maybe work on your methods and streamline how the client gets results. Because at the end of the day, what the client cares about is getting an amazing result, getting a great transformation, moving from a place A where they're kind of interested in your advice to a place B where you help them change their life for the better based on the interactions that you've created with them. So ideally you want to collect these proof files. They'll happen naturally as you start posting. People will start commenting on your stuff and they will say, oh yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really like when you post on LinkedIn. Give me more of that. Screenshot that, save it in a proof file. I started with that way too late. People started complimenting on my posts online and took a long time until I actually started putting that somewhere. So here's the thing, start early, make sure you put that in a file that you can later use as client outcomes and client messages, emails that you get. Save it all in one location, ideally somewhere, synced online, your vault of testimonials, your vault of case studies, something like that. And then as you're getting that, you're going to get more confident. You might want to ask clients that you're working with or people that have purchased your products for a testimonial. after some time, give them some time with your interactions first, and then just ask them, hey, can I offer you something for free? Can I offer you a little bit of coaching for free? Can I offer you another product for free? And I want to film you. I want to film our interactions. I want to ask you some questions about how it went with me. And that can be really powerful to record proof. This is something that I just started doing after doing this for years and collecting things. It took me a long time to actually get there, but I'm very happy now that I can create these sessions with my clients and ask them about, hey, what worked, what didn't work. And I just had one in the morning and it was beautiful. It was just really nice to kind of see, hey, here's a person that did the coaching with me and I really helped them change their life for the better. That can be super motivating. It's something that I highly recommend for anyone to do. So if you enjoyed this, and I hope you did, this was my short little framework for getting started and creating something super useful for you as you're trying to move your way from being just an expert to also thinking about entrepreneurship and selling your expertise and becoming the owner of your own business, of your own world, maybe even online creator, who knows. If you want more advice like that, I have another video up here that if you click on it, I will give you the exact breakdown for how I use AI to become more successful in running your business.